Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, the artist behind Bigelow Fine Arts. How is your coloring coming along? I'm loving this page and seeing it come to life. I'm really interested in learning how yours is going. This week we'll be moving forward from summer into fall and should finish up the page. My pencils are sharpened and I'm ready to get going. Come along and join me and let's color this in together. I'm beginning with this little flower thing. I'm not sure it's actually a flower, but I chose to color it up as one. I'm actually using a similar palette to the mushrooms. I'm going to lay in a shadow at the base of the petals with the dark sepia. The pale geranium lake is my highlight color, so I'm going to lay down a base of that over the whole flower. I now want to take the dark red and deepen up the shadow I made with the dark sepia, and also make sure the shadow looks red to match the rest of the flower. Coming back to the geranium lake, I want to add in more layers to create more coverage and fill in the paper. I'll then come back in with dark red to touch up the shadow and make sure it matches with the rest of the flower, standing out but not too much. I still want a smooth gradient. I love this color combo so much. Since I have the pencils out and ready to go, I decided to color up this large leaf with the same colors. I began laying in shadows with the dark sepia. The leaf has some short lines at the bottom of each rib section, so I will begin there with a light layer of the dark sepia. This time around, I'm coming in with the dark red to cover the shadow first. More layers at the base of the shadow and fewer near the top of where I stopped with the dark sepia. The pale geranium lake will cover the rest of the leaf. It will take more than one pass to cover the leaf. I am also going over the shadowed area with the geranium lake, which helps tie the whole leaf together. Going back a little, I'm going to color in the grass near the flower. I'm working it up the same way I did on the title page. I am beginning with the pine green at the base, a light layer just for a shadow along the bottom of all the blades of grass. After, I'm going to cover the pine green with the permanent green, as well as bring the color further up the blade of the grass. This adds more layers to that section, as well as filling in the tooth of the paper more and bringing the colors together. I will finish off the blade with the light green overlapping that into the grass green as well. This makes the grass look as if it is peeking out from a shadow and the tips are being highlighted by the sun. I'm going to work up the sky a little here to fill it in as I go. I begin with the light cobalt turquoise, marking out a contour line to let me know where to stop coloring and to make sure I have a clean edge and not a rough scribbled edge. I have the insect palette up on the screen, but I will be using this for the dandelion type flower as well. I'm going to put down a light layer of the burnt ochre first. This is mostly just hitting the center of the flower head where the little seed heads are currently attached. I'm also coloring the two seeds that are flying away with the same color, giving them a light layer with the burnt ochre. I came in with the cream to cover the entire flower head with some color. I came back in with the burnt ochre to layer it on top of the cream. This keeps the brown ochre lighter in color, and I can layer more cream on top. I don't want the actual flower head part to be too dark, but I'm fine with the seed part being darker. I'll darken up the actual seed heads with the dark sepia, including the ones flying away. This helps differentiate them from the flower head part where they are attached. I'm not finished with the dandelion, I still have the stem to do, but I am switching the palette over. With the light green, I'm going to hit up the tips of the grass sticking out from behind the large leaves as well as the dandelion stem. Since I have the light green out, I went back over the grass to hit any spots I might have missed earlier. I chose this leaf to work on with the same palette. The leaf will not look like the grass at all. I will begin with the pine green to add in some shadows at the base of each of the little window panes in the leaf. I used the permanent green to add in a layer over the entire leaf pane, leaving the ribs alone for now. I touched up any of the shadows as needed with the pine green, deepening them at the base and feathering out the pigment to make a better blend. I put in more layers with the permanent green. I decided to use the cadmium yellow lemon for the ribs. I'm going to catch up with the sky again. I mark off the contour line and lightly work up the area with the light cobalt turquoise. By working on the sky in bits, I'm able to keep up with it, but it also gives me a chance to think about what I'm going to color next and what colors I want to use. I decided this stalk with a stack of circles looked like grain and went back to the insect palette. This is a tiny thing to color. I put in a layer with the burnt ochre. These are tiny and there really isn't much to do. I added a layer of cream to keep it from getting too dark, but I did touch up one side with the walnut brown to give the tiniest hint of a shadow. Totally not needed. This is really a small section to be working. The cream and ochre combo is more than good enough. There is more grass here at this section, so I'm going to work on them. At this point, I think I just have a fistful of pencils and I'm just grabbing colors that I need and working on the next thing in the area, not even noticing there is another grain-like stalk further down. I gave the base of the stalks the barest hint of shadow with the pine green before I came in with the permanent green at the base and a little way up. I hit the tips with the light green and blended it down into the permanent green as well. And now I finally notice the other green stalk. So back to that, beginning with the base layer of burnt ochre followed by the cream. Then I go in with the walnut brown to give a hint of shadow and blend it out with the cream again. And while I have the colors out, I'm going to hit this caterpillar with the same colors. I go in with a base layer with the burnt ochre. I will add in the layer of cream on top, which I'm not sure is totally needed since I'm going to be coming in and putting in shadows with the walnut brown along the bottom of the caterpillar and the bottom of the head part. I have everything in place. Now I just need to come in and layer everything up to make it more vibrant. Going back a little, I finally figured out what color to work up this little vine. I put down a base layer with the burnt ochre over all the leaves. I then came in with the dark red at the base of each leaf and darkened it up a little like a shadow. I went over the top of the dark red with the terracotta to blend it better into the burnt ochre. I then went back over with each color to fill in the paper and blend it better. This time I did notice the other similar vine to this and worked it up with the same colors and at the same time. I used the burnt ochre for a base layer, then came in with the dark red to add a little hint of a shadow at the base of each leaf. A little more terracotta to blend and some touching up with the burnt ochre and this vine is done. It worked up quite fast, which seems to be the case after I sort out the order on the first one. I did come back in with the walnut brown to touch up the dandelion seeds a little. Two more leaves here in front and that will cover this session. I put in more shadows with the pine green, pretty much working up the leaf in a similar fashion to how I worked up the other green leaf. At the bottom of each little window pane, I put in a shadow with the pine green. I am also working up the partial leaf hiding behind this one at the same time, so it will receive a few shadows as well as the shadowing from the leaf overlapping on top of it. I used the grass green as the next layer, working it over top of the pine green. I touched up the shadows with the dark red to darken them up a little bit more. Using the color opposite on the color wheel can help desaturate the color and darken it more. So, since red is across from green, using red can darken up the shadows even more. I used a light hand here as I didn't need super dark shadows. I filled in the outline and rib with the cadmium yellow lemon and continued touching up the colors a little more with each color to fine-tune it. Just a quick note here that the tip of the leaf that looks like it's curling over also received the cadmium yellow lemon to fill it in. I'll be stopping here as I don't want the videos to be too long, and unfortunately the next video after this one wasn't readable in my program, so I have to find another program to process it in. I'll be adding to this leaf tomorrow, as well as continuing on, so stay tuned. I hope you've been following along. Let me know. I'd really love to know how your compass is coming along. I have my social media links below. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. So far I've been using Patreon mostly for blog posts, so if you need more information you can find it there. If you have any questions or page requests, please leave them below or reach out to me on social media. I put in a list of chapter breaks in the show notes, as well as a list of equipment I like to use. If you use any of the affiliate links, it really helps me out without costing you a thing. I want to thank you all so much for coming along and joining in with me on this coloring journey. I appreciate all my subscribers and look forward to more of you joining in and coloring along with me. That will only happen if you like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, happy coloring!